All right, thank you everybody for coming. Good show out this year. I think this is my third year, so it's always good to see the crowds growing and the content continuing on. We are going to be talking about enterprise and blockchain hybridization and how it's transforming the architecture of enterprise by using blockchain. I'm joined by Saji, Nair from BCube Analytics. I'm going to actually have these gentlemen, they're grown men, they can introduce themselves. Saji, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Saji Nair. I'm the co-founder and CEO of BCube Analytics. And we primarily specialize in audit and policy management workflows. That's with our primary product being RegStacker. And what it does is it enables collaboration between auditors and clients. So with suitable integrations, we offer managed services around cybersecurity, fraud detection, and one of the latest things we do is cloud cost optimization. So if you're building or using cloud, we could save you at least about 15 to 20%. Last year, working with Cubic Labs and with Brandon, we actually added a KYC management solution using blockchain, and that was our to bring in trust and security and efficiency to record keeping. So,
Brian?
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Brian Bennett. I'm currently an enterprise cloud architect here at Oracle. I specialize in whatever is the new buzzword in technology right now. It's generative AI, HPC, performance-intensive compute, GPU-accelerated compute, anything you see in the news, I probably specialize in. Been at Oracle for about 9 years. I'm part of the infrastructure and platform as a service team. It's probably easier to list off what Oracle doesn't do as opposed to what it does. But 9 times out of 10, if you need to do it in an enterprise, we most likely do it. Looking forward to today's conversation.
All right, so with enterprise architecture and with blockchain coming together, and you're seeing this in multiple different verticals. You're seeing this in insurance, you're seeing this in supply side, you're seeing it in, supply chain, you're seeing it in marketing. How have you seen enterprise architecture, enterprise systems and blockchain working together, and how have you seen that work effectively in your line of work?
I mean, I see it all over where, there are a lot of cool things that people want to do with blockchain, but, what's more important is talking about the things that actually go from pilot to production. And that's generally tracking things like blockchain's so big in supply chain management, we've actually built it into one of the Fusion apps, SCM, supply chain management. But then again, making sure that enterprises could implement a blockchain without requiring specialized knowledge allowed you to see blockchain implementations like in healthcare, where people want to do like real-time monitoring of specific health factors, right? You think of a use case where patients who have some sort of heart surgery, there's a high percentage that they need to be readmitted, right, due to failing weight, blood pressure, something along those lines, and they go back and forth between different health teams or different hospitals, different doctors. So making sure that there's a sense of truth or a source of truth that they could replicate or view in real time in regards to health markers is really important. And you see blockchain being implemented beyond just tracking product in healthcare, right? And making sure that's easy to do is where you get to see blockchain in verticals you don't expect to.
Yeah, and are you seeing anything in like prototyping or assistive type of add-ons, augmentation to the enterprise architecture, or even something that's real-world use case that's added either something in terms of a scalability solution or a cost burn down type solution? Have you seen anything in that regard?
Scale out. Oracle wanted to make sure that when it came to any type of technology, customers could choose to be in the cloud or choose to be on premise or choose to have a hybrid capability, right? We wanted to make sure that when we put a technology out there, we're not building a walled garden, forcing you specifically into an Oracle stack. So when it came to our blockchain technology, we based it off the open source Hyperledger fabric. So that way, if you wanted to use Oracle technology in the cloud or on-prem, you could if you wanted to bring like a compatible non-Oracle hyperleverage your fabric to or node to Oracle Cloud, you could do that as well, and they would interoperate with one another. So scalability is something that we wanted to make sure customers had deployment choice on.
Got it. Okay. Saji, what are some of the biggest advantages that cloud-based architecture and blockchain bring to enterprises?
So basically, three major aspects. One is that we found one is scalability. So before we say that, like blockchain and cloud, they are actually like perfect synergetic infrastructures. So if you look at from our perspective, like when we implemented audit, it was on the cloud, and we could run hundreds of audits simultaneously, have complex workflows, multiple users can connect with each other. So to add KYC to this auditing process was like, KYC is more very sensitive. So it has to, blockchain brings in trust, it brings in like security, and it brings like also the efficiency when integrated with it. Like you have a truth record, like master record, which can be relied upon. So basically, the efficiencies that are brought by the cloud process, which if you simply go with blockchain, performance may not be that very good. You may not be able to use it in large scale systems, but when you add it on the cloud, it like really becomes very efficient.
It's interesting. And how have you seen, over the years, you've seen architecture change from like a client server model to a distributed model, and now we're moving towards decentralization, like true decentralization. And is there a desire for that in enterprise, especially large scale, like larger business type operations in those verticals, to say we need to go to decentralized model, and why?
The reason is because if you simply look at blockchain per se, there are quite a few challenges, right? Number one is like there was a report by Deloitte which said 45% of customers cite that integrating blockchain to legacy systems is very difficult. Then so you need a suitable way to connect. And the second thing is that they talk about again scalability. Like if you have very large volume transactions in various industries, if standalone blockchain will be difficult. There was a McKinsey report which cited like 42% mentioned this as a big problem. The third big problem is like the talent and cost. So not only do you need to have significant investment in the software side, but also you need to invest in talent to retain and have a successful adoption.
Yeah.
So that's like 25% according to PwC cited that as a. And lastly, the data privacy and the sovereignty rules. So how do you comply with, say, GDPR? How do you comply with HIPAA when you are working on a global scale? So your software should be able to adapt to all these. So these are primary challenges. So bringing the cloud helps you to resolve a lot. Like scalability quickly is taken care of. Like in our audit, that we have very efficient and quick this. And for the KYC, the blockchain implementation brings you data like the a reliable master record.
Yep.
Right? And also it is very efficient to do like the verification of customer identification, and also with the cloud processes, those become much more faster.
Yeah.
And finally, it's like security. Security is a blockchain brings in an immutable layer of security to the record. So these are primarily the kind of factors that go into building it. And yeah.
Interesting. So I'm not seeing a lot of instance type setups in the architecture for GCP, for Azure, for AWS. I don't know about Oracle. are there anything that's out there that they're building that is specific towards like either node hosting or any type of interop, cross-chain interop that Oracle is providing, or how do you solve that if not?
Me personally, I haven't seen anything for cross-chain interoperability. It's just allowing people to utilize what they were accustomed to,
Yep.
and then expand it with the Oracle Cloud Platform with ancillary
Yep.
services, right? So making sure that our blockchain could potentially work with whatever blockchain you have implemented, and then depending on how things are interacting with that service, you could add an additional layer of replication or
Yeah.
analytics, right? Or for troubleshooting or all sorts of things, maybe even like a cloud storage layer
Yeah.
just for storing.
Are those more private chain, or is that more is that a private chain type solution?
It's more private chain because that's typically what Oracle as a whole sees, and then if we just key it down to my experience, right? That's what enterprises are asking for.
Got it.
I want to add to what he mentioned, like customers adopt different types of cloud infrastructures and various kinds of blockchain frameworks. So when we worked, you saw that we could
Yeah.
really build a complete end-to-end application production ready in about 10 weeks. That was because we used a specialized middleware called Batoi RAD, which allows you to not only build your enterprise applications or connect to existing applications, or it could connect to Oracle Cloud.
Yeah.
It could connect to other blockchain things like we used Quorum initially, and we are also planning for Oracle Chainlink at some point of time. So it's like very efficient to add both sides using the middleware. So you really have a working application. This is where the significant challenge lies. How do you address, like, the interoperability standards are evolving,
Yeah.
and as the protocols evolve, you need to have a middleware that will help hold you stable, and like you are able to maintain continuity.
What would you say would be a barrier then to someone who is wanting to incorporate that in their, let's just assume a cloud agnosticism. Like, I'm not really particularly in bed with one or another cloud provider. What would be the barriers that you see in terms of implementation?
So the largest barrier I would say is interoperability with legacy systems. With legacy systems.
Legacy systems, yeah.
So almost like majority of the enterprises, they do not have a application that is ready to connect to a blockchain.
Right.
So how do you solve that problem? How do you address that problem? So those are some things which we demonstrated using the middleware that we have, and also like it should be scalable. It should be able to connect to different vendors and adjust different protocols, and also be interoperable with the web.
Got it. Brian, what would you say are some of the most exciting projects you're seeing or you're involved in that have this kind of fusion this vision of having a fusion of cloud-based operations using blockchain within them?
There was the one I mentioned earlier with healthcare.
Yep.
Then there was one in regards to banking for like cross-border payments. That was interesting because I got to work with teams in America versus teams I think in like Jordan, right? So making sure that it's kind of interesting because when people think of blockchain, they think about different corporate entities or different entities dealing with one another. But when you look at large enterprises, there will be like a parent company with different subsidiaries, and then it's fundamentally the same thing that you're solving, right? And you need to make sure that when corporate entities, bank, sending funds or a transaction to something cross-border, gets verified. Usually they have to pay like third parties to kind of audit this, and then if there's a mistake, then the audit trail or doing any type of investigation can take lots of money. So being able to help, just and Oracle's a large organization as well, I work in one team of 50,000, maybe. Right, so actually helping them just fine-tune internal policies has been interesting for me. And then there was this one corporation who what can I say? That was being paid by someone who owns a lot of IP that may or may not be superheroes, right? They were trying to do some NFT work specifically with new designs that had not yet been put into comic books, so that way people could purchase the initial designs of costumes, right? And that was an interesting use case within itself. So it's like, oh wow, yeah, sell the concept art in a way where people can say, I own the original version of said costume. That was actually very interesting.
Awesome. Saji, how about you?
So, my partner company, we had seen quite a few use cases on supply chain, but we are primarily focused mainly on the financial services and compliance and regulatory compliance area. So, our main interest was in the KYC, specifically for non-financial services segment or regulated industries which are not in the financial services, where they have a significant cost barrier to adopt this kind of a KYC solution. So blockchain means like once a customer is added, like you could have different entities use the same trail of records and go on adding updates, so you don't have to spend a lot. Every single entity does not have to do the same use the same amount of resources and time and cost to get the customer verification done. Rather use it as a community effect, and the blockchain is the only way that can help you to get to where multi-party workflow is from multiple organizations are involved. So that kind of a scenario is what we are really looking to do that.
Yeah, and I see a lot of hybridization of things like message bus, message queue, tying into either oracles or transform or projectors, and how those are being pushed back to either end users or some recipient system. I'm curious, what protocols are you seeing being leveraged from the Web 2 world into above and beyond DLTs, whether it's a projector, an oracle, something of that nature? What are you seeing above and beyond that? Like, would be a trend?
To be honest, that's just not something that I've come across.
Sure.
So I would defer to you, Saji.
Yeah.
So again, same here. Like those are a little beyond my scope of our discussion. But what I can tell you is that we use a middleware called Batoi RAD, which specializes in connecting to different blockchain systems, having different types of protocols, and how the protocols evolve. The middleware takes care of it. So it's just like you're working with a database. The database interaction is encapsulated. So we follow the same concept over here using the platform. So that simplifies or eliminates the kind of risks or the overheads that you as a product company or a blockchain who wants to enter into blockchain space will have to go through.
When you set down that path, what did you establish as being essential? What were critical path items that from a protocol standpoint, from a what if we're choosing a particular layer 1 to use, or even a private chain, what were some of the essential ingredients that you would call out as to make that successful? Just in that use case you described.
Yeah, from the simple use case, like any like we focus more from the end user perspective, like what like in the KYC space, right? If you look at collectively in the industry, every financial institution, or even like in non-financial segments like hospitals or jewelry, where you need to know simply the identification of the customer. Cost is extremely high for each one to maintain, to comply, and a lot of dollars are spent everywhere. So our focus is like can we centralize it? Can we reduce it so end customer is able to, you know?
Yep. I think a good use case that's going to come out is going to be the replacement of OAuth with self-sovereign identity. So as DIDs come out, you'll be able to. It's really about the ownership of your own information, your own data, to where instead of having to authenticate through Apple or Google or Facebook, where your data is not owned, you are borrowing your data to authenticate against another third-party source. You have revocable and sovereignty over your own information.
Today, that is we are thinking of it as a wish list.
Yep.
But GDPR will mandate that you should do it.
Yes. Right. Excellent. All right. Well, we've got about a few minutes left on here. I want to open up for any questions that there may be for the panelists. Happy to take those now. Any questions at all?
I earlier you'd mentioned which cloud products are associated maybe with whichever other blockchains, and I work a lot with Microsoft Azure, and I see that they have an Ethereum VM ready to go, and over on AWS they have an Avalanche or an AVAX one-click setup ready to go. Is that the type of product you're
what I meant was you're talking about is deployable self-contained applications or self-contained services. What I meant was something that is specifically built around that. So an EVM that is not running on an EC2 or any type of other, whatever the building block is. That's what I meant. Sorry if I wasn't clear on that. But you're right. Yeah, they do exist. Yeah, it's not that they ignore them, but those are, I would consider those akin to something like a PostgreSQL setup. It's just something that's prepackaged and set up. Yeah.
I just wanted to build off on the idea of the OAuth and the custodial nature of the logins, as that's a big change in the Web3 paradigm. I'm just curious because I've built using a solution known as a wallet infrastructure that allows for integration of social logins to create on-chain accounts, but to allow the seamless nature of social logins that most of society is comfortable with. I'm curious your thoughts on those solutions.
Yeah, did you guys have thoughts on that? Great question.
Personally, I don't see that. I don't come across it. Enterprises want to, be in control of who's accessing a blockchain or who not. So we have tight integrations with identity and access management, whether that's coming through an Oracle cloud service or federating with a third party. So that I don't see it at all.
Yeah, I guess in enterprise, that would be a little bit of an exception that. When you're doing SSO for just internal users, the ownership of that data is centrally controlled. But I think what you're talking about is more global, where it's SaaS type model and the OAuth type piece. So it's a fair question.
Those are exactly. Those are more in the consumer space. We primarily deal with enterprises, that too regulated enterprises. So there, anything related to login or user access is strictly with an OAuth that is already present in the enterprise for single sign-on.